They moved 20 tons with nothing but a rope. You can't even change a tire without help. What did they know that we forgot? For centuries, archaeologists called it impossible, a civilization without wheels, iron, or horses, yet capable of raising cities that still stand after 2,000 years. But in 2017, in the jungles of Guatemala, a 12-year-old boy proved the impossible was real. Before the eyes of engineers from Harvard, he moved a 2-ton stone alone without any machine. That day, physics broke its own rules, and the world saw, for the first time, the rebirth of a technology buried for 5 centuries. Guatemala, October 2017. Deep in the rainforest of Tikal, a team of international archaeologists had been digging for decades, chasing the same unanswered question: how did the Maya move 20-ton stones without wheels, horses, or cranes? The jungle hummed with heat and insects. Their scanners, drones, and laser equipment had found temples, tunnels, entire cities hidden under the canopy, but not a single clue about the impossible logistics behind them. Then, out of nowhere, a 12-year-old local boy appeared. His name was Itza Pacheco. He carried no tools, no degree, only the quiet confidence of someone who knows something ancient. He watched the scientists for a moment, then said 8 words that froze everyone around him. "My grandfather knows how the ancients did it." Some of the archaeologists laughed politely. Others looked away. They were experts, armed with PhDs, satellite imaging, and 3D scanners, and now a barefoot kid was about to challenge modern physics. But one woman didn't laugh: Dr. Sarah Thompson, Harvard University. She had spent 15 years studying pre-Columbian engineering. Something in the boy's tone, or maybe his eyes, told her this was no myth. "Show us," she said. 2 hours later, under the humid air of the Guatemalan jungle, Itza built a small wooden frame out of bamboo. He tied 3 poles together with a fiber rope made from henequen, the same plant his ancestors once used. Then, before the cameras of Harvard and the Mexican Institute of Archaeology, the boy began to pull. Slowly, a 2,003-kilogram stone started to move, not an inch or 2, but meters, alone, without machines, without levers. The scientists froze. One of them whispered, "That shouldn't be possible." Another checked the rope, searching for a trick. There was none. For the next 20 minutes, the stone slid as if gravity itself had turned sympathetic. Cameras trembled, data streamed to laptops, and when it was over, no one spoke for almost a full minute. The laws of physics hadn't failed. They had just met an older version of themselves, a version written not in equations but in memory, passed down from hands that once built empires out of stone. That day, modern science witnessed the resurrection of a lost equation, and it started with a child who still remembered. To understand the magnitude of what that boy revealed, we must face the numbers, the silent proof that has mocked archaeologists for centuries. The Mayans built more than 4,800 monumental structures spread across the Yucatan, Belize, and Guatemala. Each stone block of El Castillo, the Great Pyramid of Chichen Itza, weighs up to 22,680 kilograms, more than 3 adult African elephants combined. The nearest limestone quarry sits 62 kilometers away, buried deep within jungle terrain, where humidity reaches 90% and the ground itself fights every step. No wheels, no beasts of burden, no iron tools, yet the temples rose, perfectly aligned with the stars. Traditional physics said it was impossible. The mathematics never added up. Moving one block that size would require at least 1,000 workers, but the entire population of Tikal at its peak barely reached 60,000, including children and elders. Even if every able man and woman worked together, the effort would collapse long before the first pyramid stood. So the question lingered for 200 years of modern archaeology. How did they do it? Some blamed lost tools, others invoked rituals or divine intervention, but neither lasers nor myths could bridge the gap between stone and logic, until that boy Itza appeared, because what he carried in his hands was not superstition, it was knowledge, encoded in practice, not parchment, a set of techniques passed quietly from one generation to the next, hidden beneath centuries of colonial silence. Itz's demonstration was not luck, it was the visible trace of an invisible system, a science buried in memory. A system built on 4 principles that, when combined, could make a 20-ton stone behave like 2. They called it, in the ancient tongue, the 4 pillars of motion, and once you understand them, the impossible begins to make sense. Sakar, the frictionless path. The boy called it Sakar, white water, he said. The name sounded poetic, almost sacred, but behind it hid a formula that should not exist. In 2019, researchers from the National Institute of Anthropology and History of Mexico re-examined traces of a pale residue found on the ancient Maya causeways, the Zacbeop roads carved through the jungle like white veins of light. Under the microscope, the substance defied expectation. It was not mere dust, it was a synthetic polymer, created by combining calcium hydroxide, water, and a resin extracted from the chucum tree. 3 simple elements, producing something the modern world had never replicated in nature. When tested, the mixture showed an ultra-low coefficient of friction, 0.02. For comparison, ice on ice is 0.3. The Maya had invented a lubricant smoother than ice in the tropics 3,500 years ago, but there was more. At MIT, tribologist Dr. Michael Harrison confirmed the compound was thixotropic. It became more fluid under pressure and solidified again when still. Even more astonishing, it was hydrophilic. It absorbed moisture from the air, becoming slicker with every drop of rain. And in the Yucatan, it rains 187 days a year. It was as if the sky itself helped them move mountains. Laboratory tests in 2021 proved it. 15 workers using Sakar could slide a stone that normally required 150. The impossible became repeatable. To the Maya, Sakar was not magic, it was a conversation with the elements, a technology that cooperated with the world instead of fighting it, and it was only the first key. The murals of Bonampak, painted more than 2,000 years ago, were once believed to depict a ritual, a ceremonial dance honoring the gods. But what if they were schematics, not celebrations? In 2020, Dr. Pavel Milov of Stanford University ran an experiment that changed everything. He noticed something hidden in plain sight. In each mural, musicians surround massive blocks of limestone while others move in perfect rhythm, hands raised, bodies aligned, tempo precise. When he recreated those instruments, drums at 283 Hz, flutes at 440 Hz, maracas between 4,000 and 8,000 Hz, the combined waveform produced a resonance of 31.2 Hz. The exact mechanical frequency of calcite, the crystal heart of limestone. At that frequency, stone doesn't shatter, it softens. Molecules lose cohesion, resistance fades. In a controlled test, a 2-ton block of Yucatan limestone was exposed to that same sound for 3 minutes. Its structural resistance dropped 37%. The rock didn't break, it yielded. The Mayans had discovered sonic resonance engineering 3 millennia before we even named it. The rhythm carved on those walls wasn't ritual, it was calculation, engineering disguised as music. Imagine hundreds of workers moving in synchrony, their own heartbeat matching the rhythm that softened the stones beneath their feet. The sound, the movement, the matter, all one system. And if that was the second pillar, what comes next will shake everything we think we know about ancient physics. Because the third key involves water, the lifeblood of the earth, and how the Mayans turned it into a force of levitation. Stay until the end. What you're about to discover could rewrite how we understand gravity itself. And if you believe knowledge this advanced should never be lost again, subscribe to Ancestral Engineering and help us bring these forgotten sciences back to light. Deep beneath the Temple of the Inscriptions in Palenque, archaeologists once dismissed a strange network of carved channels as decorative, a labyrinth of stone veins with no clear purpose. But in 2022, hydraulic engineers from UNAM decided to recreate the system in 3D using photogrammetry and fluid dynamics modeling. What they found was revolutionary. Those channels were not art, they were machines. Each serpentine groove was part of a hydrodynamic lubrication system, powered by pressurized bladders made from tapir hide. The organic membranes, coated with natural latex from the Chico zapata tree, acted as peristaltic pumps, pushing water rhythmically through narrow bamboo conduits just 2.5 centimeters wide. The system maintained a steady pressure of 3.2 bar, enough to generate a thin film, just 0.3 millimeters of water beneath each megalith. That fraction of a millimeter was everything. The stones floated, not by magic, by physics. The same principle that makes an air hockey puck glide effortlessly, recreated by Mayan engineers 15 centuries ago. When modern scientists tested it, they found the effect reduced weight by 63%. A 20-ton block suddenly behaved like 7. Combine that with the Sakhar polymer and the sonic resonance field, and the result is exponential. Resistance collapses, movement becomes harmony. The Maya didn't fight against the Earth. They worked with it. Their construction sites were symphonies of pressure, sound, and motion, not chaos but choreography. And perhaps that's why their temples still stand after 2,000 years, while ours crumble within decades. If this knowledge survived untouched for 5 centuries, imagine what else still sleeps beneath the soil. Stay with me, because the final pillar, the Mayan pendulum, isn't just the most brilliant of all. It's the one that connects their technology to our own heartbeat. And if this revelation moved you, subscribe and join a community that believes ancient science still has lessons for the future. The last key wasn't hidden in stone or water. It was hidden in rhythm, in the pulse of life itself. In 2018, archaeologists revisiting the Madrid Codex, page 75, noticed a diagram long dismissed as mythological. A series of poles drawn at precise angles, ropes stretched in parallel, and human figures pulling in sync. Above the image, one inscription, Kinichahau, the face of the sun. For centuries, scholars called it a solar prayer. They were wrong. It was a mechanical blueprint, a pendular energy system that stored and released motion like a living engine. In modern tests, engineers recreated it using the same material the Mayans once used, Guadua angustifolia, an American bamboo that grows over 30 meters tall and rivals aluminum in tensile strength. The poles were planted every 8 meters at a 73-degree angle. Ropes of henequin fiber with a tensile resistance of 430 MPa ran through wooden pulleys lubricated with natural ramon oil. When 30 workers pulled together, the poles flexed to 47 degrees, storing 12,000 joules of elastic energy, then releasing it in a single synchronized wave. Each pulse moved a block 3.7 meters forward. In 1 hour, they could shift a 20-ton stone nearly 300 meters without fire, without metal, without fuel. But here's the part that silenced the physicists. The Mayans had calculated the system's natural oscillation period and tuned it to the average human heartbeat, 60 to 70 beats per minute. Their bodies were the metronome. Their pulse, the rhythm that moved mountains. Motion was not mechanical, it was biological. That's why their temples breathe with symmetry, why their architecture feels alive, because every stone was placed to the rhythm of a heart. To the Mayans, engineering was never separate from life. It was life itself, a conversation between human pulse and planetary resonance. And perhaps that's the lesson they wanted to leave behind. The future doesn't belong to those who build higher machines, but to those who can listen to the heartbeat of the earth. If you've made it this far, you're part of the 0.1% that seeks truth beyond the obvious. Subscribe to Ancestral Engineering, because our mission is simple: to recover the knowledge that once made humanity harmonize with the universe itself. January 2023. Across 12 countries, 47 research teams begin replicating what a child once showed the world, the ancient Mayan method of moving the impossible. From MIT to Caltech, from Kyoto University to Mexico City, the results were identical. It worked. Not once, not by chance, but every single time. The combination of the 4 pillars, Sakhar, sonic resonance, hydrodynamic lift, and the pendulum system, reduced energy consumption by more than 40% without any modern machinery. In September 2023, during the autumn equinox, 200 volunteers in Yucatan reenacted the full process. They moved a 45-ton block from the Calatok quarry to Oxkintok, a distance of 14 kilometers, in just 3 days. No engines, no metal, only knowledge and rhythm. The BBC, National Geographic and Science magazine filmed everything. Sensors confirmed the human groups burned fewer calories than predicted. Efficiency surpassed every theoretical model, and the energy output aligned perfectly with the Mayan oscillation formula. It was as if the laws of physics themselves cooperated. Dr. James Cameron of Caltech summarized it best. The Mayans didn't break the laws of physics. They understood laws that we have yet to rediscover. Now modern industries are following their path. Teosenti is developing robots that replicate Mayan synchronized movement. Toyota is testing the Sakha polymer as a biodegradable lubricant. NASA is experimenting with sonic resonance to move equipment on Mars. What began as myth has become a mirror, reflecting what humanity once was capable of when science and spirit worked as one. The ancients weren't primitive, they were precise. And maybe, just maybe, their greatest secret wasn't how they moved the stones, but why they did. To prove that technology, when guided by harmony, doesn't destroy the world, it tunes it. If you've reached this point, you are part of a community that believes truth and wonder still belong together. Subscribe to Ancestral Engineering, where forgotten knowledge becomes inspiration for the future. Because what sleeps beneath the ruins of our past might just be the blueprint for humanity's next beginning. September 23, 2025. While this video is being recorded, new discoveries continue to emerge from beneath the jungles of Yucatan. For 500 years, the wisdom of the Maya slept, hidden beneath roots, stone and silence. But now, the earth is beginning to speak again. Scientists, engineers and dreamers are finally listening, rediscovering not only how the ancients built their world, but how they understood it. The message left for us was never about monuments, nor about gods or power. It was about balance. Every block, every sound, every drop of water moved in harmony with nature. They built with rhythm, they calculated with intuition, they engineered with the heart. And perhaps that's what we've lost. Our machines have grown louder, but our connection has gone quiet. The ancients didn't fear gravity. They learned to dance with it. That is the true secret of the Maya, technology guided by consciousness. Because progress without harmony is just noise. So remember this, the past is not gone. It's waiting for us to listen again. The future of engineering is ancient. If these words resonated with you, you're not just a viewer, you're part of a movement.